You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
Well, a very pleasant good evening. Time for Startup Talk from Indian River State College with Tom Kindred.
Thank you, sir, and welcome to another segment and installment of Startup Talk, the show designed to assist and help Treasure and Research Coast residents who want to start, grow, or accelerate their business. What I always say is it is a great place to own and operate a business along the beautiful Research and Treasure Coast. We will spend time during our hour together this evening to highlight and create awareness about the very powerful and robust business assistance and support programs that exist right here in our community at our very own Indian River State College. I am Tom Kindred. I serve the community as the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Our show today, as always, is powered by the SBDC at IRSC and the great folks at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie. So, Greg, how are you this evening?
Doing well.
Great. I got a little report the other night about some Pioneer sports activities. Women's volleyball is doing very well, I think.
I'd say so. They're undefeated.
Undefeated.
Actually, they have only, they've only lost 3 games the entire season. They won the first match 3-0, then 3-2 over Jacksonville.
Wow.
3-0 against Gateway, which is it's not a new college, but a renamed college up in northern Florida.
Right.
We'll be up there with basketball, too. And then South Florida State, I just have no idea where that school is. And they beat them 3-1. So,
wow.
Yeah, they're perfect. And they're on the road 4-2 tomorrow in Winter Haven.
I was there for the opening game, the big blue and gold game, and they did look impressive. Powerful group
Where'd
of
you
hitters.
get that Massey's uniform?
Yeah.
Where did he get that?
I don't know, but he was the winner this year in the inter-squad game.
What a surprise!
Well, now the word I had was he was kind of I think he was on a 3-year losing streak, but this year he pulled it out. So
okay,
but it did. They look like a powerful team, and I can't wait to get in the gym. And as I always tell folks, it's really a lot of fun. A lot of great athletic activities going on at Indian River State College. Got the men's basketball, women's basketball, ladies volleyball, and always free. Never a charge to except I think there's 1 or 2 games they charge to raise some money, but the majority of the time no admission to get into a Pioneer sporting event, and it's a great opportunity, a lot of fun, good opportunity to see some college athletics right here in our town. So Anyway, encourage everybody to get out. As those who listen to us regularly, our show is all about local business and what's happening around the community and business. And tonight we have got some great guests to talk about some business that's happening along the Treasure Coast and here in our community. I am happy to have back with us this week. We're going to spend a little more time this week. She kind of popped in last week and just gave us a quick update about a big event coming up next week. But we're going to spend a little more time with Miss Caleta Scott this evening. Welcome to the show, Caleta.
Thank you.
And we also have with us a good friend, an old friend. We go way back. Gregory Enns has done some incredible work in this community.
You have a friend?
I had a couple of friends.
Wow. Okay.
So old that I remember the days when he was known as Tommy.
Right, yeah.
This could be a dangerous show.
Right, it's always telling when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, Tommy," yep, we go way back. So Greg and I we go way back. Greg, great history with his family here in this community, and he has done some incredible work, and I'm just excited to have him on tonight just for a couple minutes to talk about what he's doing with his company and all of his offerings, especially the flagship brand, the Indian River Magazine. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Great to be here, Tom.
Thank you. Real quick before we get started, I want to mention a couple of things coming up. Again, I mentioned last week, got a whole nother round of the Business Accelerator program starting down in Martin County. Going to start September the 11th. Got 10 nights of business training, seminars, and workshops going on down at the Chastain campus, the campus for Indian River State College, right there on Salerno Road. So again, great program. If you are a business owner, operator down in Martin County, this is a great program. You need to take advantage of this. Again, 10 nights, all kinds of topics, introduction to internet marketing, customer engagement, exceptional customer service, time management, sales and marketing for your business, small business finance. So all kinds of workshops and trainings going on. Again, that's going to get underway September the 11th. Again, this program, we're really happy to partner with the BDB, Tim Dewar and Maria, the staff there at the Martin County BDB, and of course the Martin County Commission and the City of Stewart Commission have been very big supporters of this program, so we appreciate that, and been a very popular and successful program for us. This is probably our at least half a dozen time we've run the what we call the BAP, the Business Accelerator Program, down in Martin County. So,
and for what, the last, we've been on 3 years, and it's
that's
been
right.
sold out for the previous two, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's good program. So I encourage folks to take advantage of that program. Those that are in the human resource industry, we've got the SHRM certification program coming up right here on main campus. Again, very popular class with those that are looking to get their SHRM certification. That will be underway on September the 6th. It'll run for a couple of nights, that class, but it allows those folks to get their SHRM certification if you're in the human resources industry. And then another very popular class for us is our accredited claims adjuster, the ACA, and our registered customer service representative, the RCSR class, insurance classes. Again, very popular classes. Those will start on September the 8th, and those run for a couple of Saturdays. So those are certification classes, allowing people to get their certifications and work in the insurance industry.
Claims adjuster?
Claims adjuster.
Oh, great. We've got one of those waves coming through on Monday. Thank you very much for that.
I may jinx that. That's right. No, shouldn't have brought that one up. But good opportunity for folks to get certified, and it's a good field to be in.
Yeah.
So with that, again, got a lot going on. It's always important that folks remember, go visit that IRSC .biz, IRSCbiz.com site, and you click on that little events calendar icon there at the top of that site, and there's all kinds of classes and workshops going on throughout the months and throughout the year, brought to you by the Corporate and Community Training Institute right there at Indian River State College. So that's IRSCbiz.com, IRSCbiz.com, and you can get all kinds of information, more than you ever wanted to know, about what's going on at the college in terms of corporate training. So with that, I want to turn real quickly to our good friend, old friend, Gregory Enns. I want to talk a little bit about, Greg, what you have brought to this community. You and your partner, Alan Osteen, who was this year's recipient of the Entrepreneur of the Year Award at Indian River State College. You guys have really built an incredible, just a high-quality, innovative group of journalists and artists, and have put together an incredible offering of publications for our community, and I thank you for that. It's just incredible. And your flagship, Indian River Magazine, I love it. So welcome to the show, Greg.
Well, thank you for having me.
Start us off, Greg, with a little bit of your background. I mean, you were kind of almost born into journalism. So talk a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I was born in Fort Pierce here on the Treasure Coast, and grew up. My dad was the editor of the Fort Pierce News Tribune, so I kind of grew up in the shadow of journalism. And then I went to college, and of course I didn't want to go into journalism. I wanted to go into to be a lawyer.
Nice,
and
okay.
So by default, I started working at the News Tribune during the summers as a reporter, because they always needed the people to fill in, and so I started doing that. And I later went to graduate school, and when I went to graduate school, came back here and worked for a year, and then I went over to Sarasota, and that was owned by the New York Times, the Sarasota paper owned by the New York Times Company. I was a reporter there. Got into editing, and then worked for 5 years at the St. Petersburg Times, now known as the Tampa Bay Times, and went back to Sarasota because I love Sarasota, and was business editor there, and then the New York Times Company also owned the Tuscaloosa, Alabama newspaper. So I got the managing editor's job there, and while I was managing editor of the paper, we also started a magazine. The New York Times Company had an initiative for the newspapers to start magazines in their market. And so I started a magazine there called Tuscaloosa Magazine, and it just got great response, and people just loved the reflection that it was providing for their community.
It's local.
Yeah. And they would put it on their coffee table, and just the reaction that I got from it was just so incredible. And with my experience as a business editor, I kind of got to thinking, geez, I could do that. I could do this myself. And so I knew, I came back to Fort Pierce often for vacations and so forth, and I knew I could. St. Lucie County did not have a magazine per se, a high-quality magazine. Now, Vero Beach and Stewart did, but everybody kind of leapfrogged over St. Lucie County.
Right.
So I saw an opportunity, and I pitched my good friend Alan Osteen, who I grew up with. He's the president of East Coast Lumber Company. And this was 2006. The date's key because it was before the recession.
Whoops. Good timing.
So I drew up a business plan and pitched him the idea, and he wanted. I was thinking I would need several partners to do it, and he said, "Why don't just you and I do it?" And so we started it, and we started with Indian River Magazine, and then we started. John Wilkes arrived in town, and we started the Sunrise Theater Playbill, and then we started Port St. Lucie Magazine, and then Fort Pierce Magazine, and then we do the travel guide for St. Lucie County Tourism. We also do a program for the Emerson Center in Vero Beach, and there are several other we do a lot of custom publications too, and a lot of websites and a lot of different media.
So Alan Osteen knew and understood a business plan?
He did. He understands. He understood the numbers, and I had we projected what the numbers were.
Right.
And we almost hit them. The recession, put us back. But we had a position. We knew it would take a couple years to reach profitability. Originally, for us, the recession,
right? Of course,
delayed that.
A little.
Yeah, we all know about that.
That surprised all of us a little bit.
Oh boy.
So again, you kind of started with the Indian River Magazine, which is an incredible, just again a beautiful, high quality publication.
We won 6 awards for editorial excellence from the Florida Magazine Association.
Good stuff.
2 weeks ago. So.
Yeah. And I mean, you talked about in Tuscaloosa how that kind of reflected the community. I mean, this really is an incredible reflection upon St. Lucie County and the Treasure Coast. I mean, it really is an incredible piece of publishing. Now, so you started with this, and you mentioned a number of other magazines. So you're not just in one magazine. I mean, you really have created a kind of a local publishing company, have you not? I mean, you're really in all kinds of publishing now.
Yeah, we where we see opportunity, we try to go in there and serve the market, work with partners. St. Lucie County is a good example. They need somebody to produce the travel guide, and we're happy to do that. So,
talk about the 2 magazines. We've got Caleta Scott here, who kind of represents the city of Fort Pierce. Talk about those 2 magazines that you created to represent the city of Port St. Lucie and the city of Fort Pierce. I mean, these are really, kind of hyper focused on the local communities.
Yeah, well, we actually started with the City of Port St. Lucie magazine, and that was about in 2007. I think that was maybe within the first year. because our business plan initially called upon doing that, and so we wanted to reflect Port St. Lucie and to be more of a city magazine, and then within a few months, that did pretty well. And then within a few months, we did the Fort Pierce magazine.
Yeah,
the whole idea is just to, give people to reflect the beauty of, the community that people live in, to write about the outstanding personalities. I think we might have even written about Greg once or twice in the Indian River magazine.
You guys were desperate, and you wrote a nice article about Carol and me. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, again, you talked about your father, and I certainly remember your father very well, and very respected journalist beyond our borders here around the Treasure Coast. But so you're a journalist kind of by birth and training, but you've really, through publishing multiple publications, I mean, you've now really become a business owner and operator. I mean, talk a little bit about the challenges of, our show's all about business and entrepreneurship. Talk a little bit about those challenges of being a business person.
Well, I always like to tell everybody, when I started this thing, the magazine company, I thought, publisher, oh, that's great. I'd never sold anything and never sold advertising before. I was like, oh, geez, I'll have some other people selling the advertising.
Right.
I won't have to worry about that. And I can just cherry pick the stories I want to write about. Well, what basically happened is that I, soon realized, especially when 2008 rolled around, that, as soon as I started it, really, I started selling the advertising and realizing, hey, I got to be out there. I've got to make sure that this works, because if I don't make sure it works, nobody's going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to pay the writers or the photographers or the ad salespeople, whoever. So, kind of what's happened is, I have become more focused on the business and making sure that that's successful. And I put, when I write, it really consumes me and takes up a lot of time. And when I first started the magazine, I wrote a lot more, but I had that struggle between the business side and the writing side, and I just said, okay, I'm going to have to step away from the writing a little and just focus on the business. And my hope one day is that I'm so successful that somebody else can focus on the business and I can go back to writing.
Right. Again, it's one of those lessons we kind of teach entrepreneurs, that when you launch a venture like this, you kind of have to be a little bit of everything. We talk about and for young people, it's kind of a positive. They we call it kind of the interdisciplinary opportunity to do a lot to things. So you got to sell, you got to be the accountant, you got to be the bookkeeper, you got to
And when I first started the magazine, I did most of the distribution, so I would.
The back of the trunk,
hundreds of stops to hundreds of businesses throughout the Treasure Coast. But it was good. It was good experience because, I learned, got to know the customers, and I got to know the area a lot better, and I, learned about distribution.
Nice. So again, when you launched these beautiful publications, I mean, this really was entrepreneurial. I mean, you kind of started this from the ground up. I mean, and like I'll always say, our show's kind of dedicated to entrepreneurship here. I mean, what advice would you have for like an aspiring entrepreneur looking to launch a venture like you've done here?
Well, try to spend as little as you can. Be careful about, watch the bottom line. Make sure that you're making more than you're spending.
That's a key one.
I was lucky because I had, a business partner.
Yeah, you had a partner that kind of understood
50,
the business,
50,
right?
and he understood. He could provide financial advice and so forth, and he understood. He understood finances and the way business works. He might have not have known, all the intricacies of the magazine business, but he knew business principles, and he's, knows how to, keep costs down. So that's been an inspiration to me.
And you really offered, with all these publications, I mean, you have really opened up an opportunity for all kinds of businesses across really the Treasure Coast to get the word out on their business. I mean, this really is a great opportunity for a business to reach into a lot of markets. You're doing the theater magazine, so those that are attending theater functions are going to pick up that beautiful publication and see what's going on. How does somebody get in touch with you and kind of get involved and maybe talk to you about advertising in these publications?
Well, all of our publications are online too, as well as in print. And they could just call me 772-940-9005 or email me enns@indianrivermag.com or stop by our office in the historic East Coast Lumber Building in downtown Fort Pierce. Yeah. And we'll be glad to send in one of our wonderful advertising representatives out to talk to you.
The Indian River Magazine, you can subscribe to that, can you not?
Yes.
And have that home delivered?
Yes, that's it's $20 a year. You can subscribe to it at IndianRiverStore.com, and you can get a 1 year subscription, and then the Fort Pierce magazine is available for subscription, as well as the Port St. Lucie magazine, which is $12 a year. That's for 4 issues. And I want to make an offer in honor of Greg and Tommy. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, Tommy. Now
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Tommy.
Yeah.
It's Tommy.
But for anybody listening tonight, or whenever if this might be replayed, or even feel free to email me at enns@indianrivermag.com, and we'll be happy to give you a free 1 year subscription delivered to your home.
Okay, I like it. Look at the offers.
Boy, he better hope those 199,000 people are not listening on the web. Oh.
Well,
limitations apply. up to 300 subscriptions.
No.
Yeah. Well,
Alan may not be
you'll probably
listening
hear
to
from
that.
my parents in the morning. They're
Okay.
always
Excellent.
looking for a
Good.
bargain.
Well,
So yeah, they may
have
be
them
calling.
email me.
All right. Listen, again, Greg, I just I can't say enough about what you've done to with these publications. If you've never seen these publications, folks, you got to make it a point to certainly go look at the Indian River Magazine. I was kind of looking through it this morning, kind of prepping for tonight's show, and I'm telling you, just the articles, I found myself reading 2 or 3 articles in the magazine just by flipping the pages. It really incredible writing,
And the photos, the photography.
the
is
photography is
amazing.
just.
Let me just say something. And thank you, Tom, for everything that you do for small businesses on the Treasure Coast. Your enthusiasm, your energy, and your excitement go a long way. You really do. It can be pretty lonely out there for a lot of entrepreneurs, and you're there to provide support and help and boost people up, and it's a wonderful thing. So thank you.
It's a good program. So, well, again, Greg, we certainly appreciate you taking time out tonight and coming and talking to us about the magazines. I encourage everyone to find a copy of the Indian River Magazine or the Port St. Lucie or the Fort Pierce, wherever you are. Anytime you'll go to the Sunrise Theater, they will be handing out the Sunrise season playbill.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And then, of course, the St. Lucie Travel Guide. And we just had Charlotte Byerly on the show the other day talking about tourism. So an incredible publication there. So, again, Greg, thank you for bringing a quality publication to our marketplace. Thank you.
Great. And big thanks to Greg and Carol for bringing quality radio to the
Well,
Treasure.
that's
Thank
right.
you. Well, just think about this. He started at the New York Times, and Indian River Magazine may last longer than the New York Times.
If you just give me a minute. When I left the New York Times Company, the chairman then, Arthur Sulzberger, sent me I got to know him through various committees. He sent me a letter, and he said, well, geez, I'm sorry to hear that you're leaving, and that I heard that you're starting a company of your own magazine business. And he goes, it sounds like a boneheaded decision to me, but I wish him well.
I love it.
So I was tempted on our 10th anniversary. I was tempted to send him a copy of that letter, but it's been a great experience, and one I wouldn't trade for the world. And I'm happy to be here and happy to be able to do what I love.
All right. As seen in Indian River Magazine, get a copy. Greg, with that, should we take a quick break? And
we can do that.
We are coming back with one of my favorite all-time guests. And when you talk about enthusiasm, you just wait till you hear from Caleta Scott. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more Startup Talk.
Are you looking to start, grow, or accelerate your business? No matter where you are in the business life cycle, the Florida SBDC consultants at Indian River State College have real-world experience and expertise to help you make sound business decisions. Motivated entrepreneurs and business owners have access to our team of professional business consultants and specialists to help accelerate business growth and expansion. Whether you're an existing business or you're finding your entrepreneurial spirit for the first time, the Florida SBDC at IRSC can help you on your path to success. For more information on the Florida SBDC and how you can take advantage of this no-cost business assistance program, call 336-6285 or visit irscbiz.com. That's irscbiz.com. And come on in and we'll help you create the business that you want to see succeed.
Are you thinking about a new business card, a postcard or invite, a brochure, sign, a banner, or something else that needs to be printed? Have you been thinking about getting t-shirts or other apparel for your group, charity, or special event? Don't know where to start? Express Printing can help.
Whether you're starting a business or building one, Express Printing can offer insight on how to separate you from your competition.
Express Printing of Port St. Lucie has the widest selection of printed items anywhere. Stop by their shop on US 1 between Sam's Club and Walmart. Their staff will help you with everything from design to completion.
Express Printing in Port St. Lucie is proud to present Startup Talk from Indian River State College. The backbone of America is its entrepreneurial spirit, shared by Express Printing and Indian River State College.
Trust Express Printing for all your printing needs. Call 878-7975
That's 878-7975.
for Express Printing in Port St. Lucie.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
And welcome back to Startup Talk. I am Tom Kindred, Regional Director for the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. And for those of you just joining us, we have got an incredible guest this evening. One of my favorite. We have got Miss Caleta Scott, who is with the City of Fort Pierce. Welcome again to the show, Caleta. Thank you very much. Caleta, start us off a little bit again with a little background, and then talk to us about this very new and innovative position that you hold with the City of Fort Pierce.
Yes, well, I'm Caleta Scott. I was born in Fort Pierce, grew up in Miami, and traveled back and forth my whole childhood to Fort Pierce for the summers, and I got a chance to decide what I was going to do with the rest of my life, and I decided I needed to be back in Fort Pierce. I love this place. So I had an opportunity to work for the City of Fort Pierce. I started in Mayor Hudson's office and the City Clerk's office, had an opportunity to support the commission and learn a lot about that arena, and what a blessing to have this great position created. Allegheny Franciscan Ministries has come into our community and noticed a need, and they decided to have the city create this position. I'm lucky enough that I was the person chosen, and it's been a wild year. The position I started in September of last year, and there have been so many great things that's happened so far.
Yeah.
So,
and we're going to talk about all those great
yes,
things. Talk a little bit about, again, what was, again, give us a little overview, because I'm sure, it's like our first guest. We were kind of talking before the show, and we were kind of explaining to him about the Allegheny Franciscan Ministry. And, some people don't really know what's going on. I mean, and they're going to learn a little more about it as time goes on. But
yes.
Talk a little bit about how they got involved in the city and what their purpose and mission is, really.
Well, I don't want to misquote their mission and purpose.
Sure, don't.
But generally, the Allegheny Franciscan Ministries is a group of nuns who their mission is to do right by the poorest of the poor. And their mission in Florida, since they've been in Florida, is to give money back to the underserved communities, the communities who need it most. They decided to pick 3 different cities, one of them Overtown, which is in Miami, a little small suburb of Miami, a city called Waimama, which is on the outskirts of Tampa, and little old Lincoln Park in Fort Pierce. So we're really grateful that they chose our city, and honestly, we need it. And that's the best thing about it, is they're here to help us because we need it, and we're going to work together with them to bring some great things to the community.
So again, part of their initiative and one of the first things that they did was to create a position, which is your position. So you're kind of you're an economic development director, you're a marketing director, you're a lot of things kind of rolled into one.
Yes.
But your primary focus is to business recruitment, business development, and promote Lincoln Park. Is that kind of?
Yes, it's all of the revitalization efforts. That includes economic development, creating safe and healthy neighborhoods is a part of their initiative as well. And that goes back to the community gardens that we're looking at. Allegheny has positioned themselves in many different organizations. They've worked with IRSC, the Economic Development Council, and they are making a big impact, not just with the city of Fort Pierce, with other organizations.
Right.
So I think it's really great that what it does is it brings all of these organizations that we all have the same mission, we all have the same citizens that we're serving. So now, what a great opportunity. Allegheny's come and made the EDC work with the city and made them work with the college. And now we have all these grant programs and initiatives that are going to be carried out with everyone on the same focus of helping the Lincoln Park community.
Right.
So I think that's really important.
Yeah, they really have. They've created a sense of collaboration
Yes.
with a lot of groups
Yes.
that probably worked a little bit together and knew each other, but now it's really kind of like you say, it's kind of laser focused now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just curious, are there any nuns coordinating this?
Well, I have been to a retreat, and we had a great meeting with nuns. So yes, they're a major part of it.
They're still involved.
They're very heavily involved. There is a regional office in Palm Beach, and the regional director, I'm not sure of her title, but she's in charge of the West Palm Beach area, which includes Fort Pierce. Her name is Yapenda Shabazz, and she's kind of our liaison to the executive board of.
And I can't wait to get Yapenda on the show.
Oh.
She also is another great
Yes.
great source of information
Awesome.
and
Yeah, let's do
enthusiasm,
it.
and I've had the opportunity to meet with and work a little bit with Yapenda. So I can't. We're building to the point where we're going to get Yapenda on the show as we
Great.
kind of get a little closer to some of these initiatives.
Yes.
But talk a little bit about the history of the Lincoln Park area. I mean, any of those of us that have been around, like myself. And those who know to call me Tommy have been here for a while. We're all familiar with Lincoln Park.
Yes.
It holds a very unique place in the history of St. Lucie County and Fort Pierce. So, talk a little bit about the history of that Lincoln Park marketplace.
Well, Lincoln Park is a very strong community for as long as it's been. I've got a couple articles. I was doing some research this morning looking at some of the first homes built on Avenue D. Back in 1908, families started living there. And I don't doubt that it was before that, but that's some of the most recent, the most documented beginnings of the black community in Lincoln Park. And I think that we had to be strong because we were all we had. Those times there was segregation, so we couldn't go across the street. So our neighborhood had to be strong. We had to have our own teachers, our own doctors, our own lawyers, our own everything. And it was so strong. My family members were some of those people. We had haberdasheries, we had, shoe shine stands, we had doctor's offices, and now what I want to do is get back to that. And that's kind of like the driving force and getting back to what Lincoln Park used to be, a very, very strong, vibrant community.
Yeah, and there's been kind of a move led by some local folks about kind of, I think the term is restoring the village.
Restoring the village,
yeah,
yes.
Kind of bringing back the village approach to the Lincoln Park area.
I think it's very important to bring that up. I'm glad you did, because in the black community, we were a village. Like going back, we had to be a village. We were all we had. So restoring that village means so much, and especially to the younger generation, because they don't really know what that village feels like.
Right.
I'm lucky enough to be young enough to remember what it was like to have your great grandmother yell at you from the front door, like, Caleta, you better come on. This, it's the sun's
And
going
I'm pretty
down.
sure mine did that too.
Yes.
I think I remember that too.
Yes. So I think it's really important to get back to those that village
Right.
kind of feel, back to where you knew who the person was who lived next door to you. You knew that business owner. You knew that if you put your child on the bus and they didn't make it home, that your neighbor would know,
right.
or the principal of the school would give you a call and say, hey, Ms. Jenkins, that's my great-grandmother, Bernice Jenkins. Hey, Ms. Jenkins, your granddaughter, Cappy, didn't make it to school today, or whatever the
Right.
case is. I won't say that happened, but
Right.
that whole strong neighborhood feel is really where we want to get back to.
And Avenue D in Lincoln Park really lends itself to that. I mean, it's there's one road, there's businesses on the road. It really it's not unlike any other historic downtown district
No.
in its framework and makeup, is it not?
No, you're absolutely correct. We have residential, we have commercial, and we also have a number of churches. So there's an opportunity. You can get anything you need down Avenue D, and I'd love to see that come back.
Right. Talk about there's been an awful lot of if you haven't been in the Lincoln Park area. Of course, I drive through all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm always headed up 25th Street to do something, or unfortunately, I used to go to Granny's Kitchen every Friday until she retired. I just cannot believe she retired on me, because that was the only place I could get my smothered steak.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible Friday's lunch. But anyway, I would, if you haven't been up there in a while, awful lot of capital improvements. I mean, sidewalks, lighting. Talk about what's been going on over the last, decade up there in terms of improvements.
Yes. With our community development block grant program and some of the for years, we've been investing in Lincoln Park. Some ways are small. We've done some crosswalks across every street. We've got actually this year we put in new street signs. So we have beautiful black new street signs. They stand out, and it just looks really nice when you're on the avenue to see a nice street sign. Over Christmas, we have a Christmas on Avenue D. We've got a really large Christmas tree that's on the 13th Street Plaza, which is just makes you feel good when you see people hanging out, doing something positive at Christmas time, and the whole street's lit up. It's beautiful. We are working on some of the road improvements as well right now, because after a time those
Right.
improvements need maintenance. So we're working on that as well.
They've built a new library. The Zora Neale
Hurston Library.
Hurston Library
Yes.
is there. That's a new facility.
Yes.
Of course, IRSC built the Blackburn Center.
Yes. The Percy Peak
the
Gymnasium
Percy Peak
right next
Gymnasium.
door.
I mean, those are incredible facilities, beautiful facilities.
Yes.
And again, like you said, all kinds of capital improvements in the roads and the lighting and the streets and the landscaping, the streetscaping. And you've also got the Lincoln Park Theater.
The Lincoln Park Theater,
is
yes.
kind of now taking shape. I mean, I noticed the other day we've got windows, we've got doors, talk a little bit about the theater project.
The exterior facade was done a number of years ago with some assistance from the City of Fort Pierce, and the MLK Commemorative Committee worked on that. And right now we're working closely with them to create an agreement to where we can partner to assist them in getting grants. It's going to take about $1.5 million to redo the inside, and we can have about a 500, 600 seat theater.
Nice.
We're looking to have community events, plays that go to Stewart right now. Instead of skipping over us, come to Fort Pierce.
So it's about the size of the Lyric then. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And there's lots of shows that go to specifically, you have shows that are catered towards the Black community that we would love to have. But
Right.
more so, I think it's important, our local organizations would love to use it. We have
Sure.
dance groups. We have young kids that like to do spoken word and poetry. We could have a lot of community events in that place.
Nice.
So the goal is to get that back up by hopefully 2021.
So for those of us, unlike you guys who grew up here, I remember the night that they opened the Sunrise again, Dionne Warwick.
Right.
And, of course, our state rep, Larry Lee, we were talking to he and Alice, and he was saying, we always had to sit up in the balcony
Yes.
when we came to the Sunrise.
Right.
So, growing up in L.A., that was so difficult for me to process that.
I'll tell you this, and not to get too personal, but my mother doesn't really want to go to the theater, Sunrise Theater, because of those memories.
Wow.
There's people who remember that and just kind of don't want to go. So the reason behind having the Lincoln Theater open is
That's
is
even
very
more
important. It's even more
Right.
important
Yeah.
because and not to say that they won't change their mind at another time. You know,
Right.
I had tickets for a great Navy show for me and my mom and dad, and my mom was like, "Oh, I'm not going to go." But me and my dad sat in front row and enjoyed it. So it's a beautiful theater, but we
Right.
love that right in the Lincoln Park community.
Yeah, well, you're getting close. I mean,
Yes.
I drove by just the other day and noticed. I think things are moving there.
Yes,
So it's
they are
impressive to
moving.
see.
Yes.
Talk about we mentioned the library, the Zora Neale Hurston Library. Talk. I was down one of those Fridays that I was eating lunch at Granny's Kitchen.
Yeah.
There was a serious bus, not some school bus. I'm talking a serious tourism type bus that pulled in, and 50 people got off that bus. And I said, "What in the world's going on?" And they were taking the tour. They were on that
The Zora
literary.
Oh, yeah, we have two tours. We have the Highwayman Heritage Trail,
Okay.
and we have the Zora Neale Hurston Dust Tracks Trail. So the the Dust Tracks Trail gets so much publicity. People love Zora Neale Hurston. They're educators who follow her. Educators.
I think
plan.
they were school
It was-
teachers.
yes,
That's right.
Yes.
It was.
There are historical societies that we've had contact with that want to come down and get this information and take the trail. On the trail is the house that she lived in that Dr. Clemcy Benton not gave to her, but allowed her to live in. And people go crazy for that, just to see this is where she lived. And with the success of her most recently published book, Barracoon, I think there's a new resurgence in that Zora history, and working with the Tourist Development Council and the Zora Neale Hurston Committee and IRSC and Professor Marvin Hobson to kind of revitalize that Zora committee and get some more traction for Fort Pierce, capitalizing on those assets that we have for Zora.
I'm telling you, impressive. When those folks got off that bus,
Yes.
I mean, I thought, what in the world? And they were there for the trail.
Yes.
Talk about some, there's all kinds of businesses. If you haven't been up Avenue D in the last couple of years, you've had some quite successful businesses kind of launch on Avenue D.
Yes.
Give us a success story out of the Lincoln Park area.
Well, I'm going to say, I don't want to, this is not in order of importance or anything like that, but right now, one of my favorite success stories is Tessa over at Fats Chicken Shack.
Yeah.
That's
all right. Chicken wings are important to me.
We love chicken wings. Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her chicken wings are really good. And the success part is not just the fact that she's been in Lincoln Park in that same location for so long. And I don't have her address, so I'm sorry. But the success factor comes in that she's opened a second location in Vero. Wow. And I don't go there very often, but when I go into the mall and drive by, there's always a line outside the door. And one time I was at a separate event in Vero, and someone asked me what I was eating, and I said Fats, and she was like, "Oh my God, I love Fats. Oh, it's so good. I can't get in there." Last night was the first time I got in, and I said, "Well, she started in Fort Pierce. Her first store is on Avenue D," and she was like, "I've never even, I didn't even know that."
Right.
So that's a wonderful success story. Yeah. Sarah's Memorial Chapel, that's a very important business that that Peak family has started many, many years ago, and Commissioner Rufus Alexander still runs that to this day. So that's an important business for our community, but it is a staple. We've got Chuck's is in Scotty's. He's another soul food restaurant that lots of people love for a long time. So we've got a lot of strong businesses in Lincoln Park, and the wonderful thing is that I'm able to help facilitate some new businesses getting started.
Nice.
And that's where the good stuff is.
I want to make sure
Yes.
one of the primary things I want to talk about tonight is you've got an event coming up a week from tomorrow,
Yes.
Friday, September the 7th. So talk to me. What have you got going on Friday, September the 7th?
So on Friday, September 7th, we have the first annual Lincoln Park Business Expo. We're really excited because it's, I don't want to call it my brainchild, but the idea.
You can take credit for it.
I don't want to take credit for it. I kind of, we had an event
Tommy
last
will
year.
give you credit.
I'll give you credit.
my reason for wanting to do this right in Lincoln Park, right at the Percy Peak Gym in the IRSC Blackburn building, is to bring the resources in the community directly to the people. It's really, we have so many resources for businesses and more in our community, but sometimes it's hard for the people who need it most to get there. Right. And we sometimes don't think about that fact. Those barriers could vary. But this event is created so that we could let businesses know we see you and we want to support you. It's very important for communities like Lincoln Park and Fort Pierce as well to consider how we circulate our dollar, where we support. It's easy to hit click so that you can get something ordered from Amazon, but how much better is it to go to the store and buy something from someone who's your neighbor? Right. And you help their daughter go to college or something like that.
Absolutely.
And that makes an impact.
Yeah, break us down with an agenda. So what time does everything get underway?
The event starts at 11 a.m. We're going to have an opening ceremony, meet and greet. The mayor, EDC, IRSC, SBDC will be there. We're going to have Dr. Nick Brown, Professor Dr. Nick Brown. Right. He's going to give our opening session. The Treasure Coast Black Chamber of Commerce, Chancellor Howell, will be there also to give us some tips on how we can support each other in the community. Dr. David Washington at noon will have our lunch and our keynote. We'll give away a couple of community awards before our breakout sessions begin at 1 o'clock. We have about 6 or 7 breakout sessions that go from 1 to 3:45, 4 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, which is the most fun part, we're going to have a community pop-up shop so that everyone who's there getting the information from the event, from the breakout sessions, will be able to then, in turn, sell their goods and let the community know about what they have to offer. So it's also a great networking opportunity because a lot of these businesses don't know the other businesses that are in town. Right. So it's great to get everybody kind of networking and supporting each other.
Talk to us about your sponsors. Give them who's helping out with this. I think the Allegheny Franciscan Ministry is a big part of this.
Allegheny Franciscan Ministries is a great big part of it, so we would definitely want to thank them. They may be in attendance on that day. IRSC, Indian River State College, is providing a number of speakers, as well as SBDC. Thank you, Tom, very much for all your support.
Absolutely.
We have the Cuvée Group, which is a marketing consulting firm that's going to help and teach people about
connectivity type thing.
I apologize. I can't think of what it's called, but a way to market to people. He's going to talk about that. The Treasure Coast Black Chamber of Commerce also is a sponsor. Lincoln Park Main Street will be there to offer their services for the business community. And, of course, the City of Fort Pierce.
All right, beautiful. How does one get more information on the event and potentially sign up? Do you have to register? Is it something you need to, or can you just come that day?
Well, we'd like you to register so you can get the full conference-style experience. However, if you walk up that day, we'll definitely invite you in and give you all the great jewels of information.
Now, when you talked about the keynote speaker, Dr. Washington,
yes,
where's that taking place? In the Percy Peak Gym?
In the Percy Peak Gym,
nice.
Yes. And the breakout sessions will
you've got plenty of seating. I mean,
we've got plenty of seating.
Okay.
I'm expecting I'm prepared for up to 100 people.
Okay.
So we'd love to see that many people come through.
I love it.
If you're there in the morning to listen to the speakers and have lunch, that's great. But we'd love to have you come and support the other community members at the pop-up shop at 4.
So how does one get registered? Give us the site.
The registration has been extended to Wednesday, September 5th. You can call Caleta Scott at the City of Fort Pierce, 467-3168, or shoot me an email at cscott@city-ftpierce.com.
Okay. So that is how someone can get involved and be there. And I encourage you to get involved. And on September the 7th, going to be a great day.
Yes.
I will be there
from
start to finish. I'm not moving.
Great.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Talk again. You mentioned Lincoln Park Main Street, and I know they have done some nifty things up there. I attended, I think, one of the very first. They do an event called Jazz on Moores Creek.
Man, Jazz on Moores Creek is so much fun.
It's
a great night. Sometimes it gets rained out. So that's the sad part. That's Florida.
That's an outdoor event.
Right.
Come on.
That's Florida.
It's Florida.
But it's really great because the whole community comes out. and everyone, the sororities, fraternities, bike clubs, it's kind of like a networking hour. And great musicians come, and we're there till the night, till it's dark, and everyone's hanging out and dancing in the street. It's a really great time. It's not quite like Friday Fest, but it's got a Jazz Creek, Morris
love
Creek
it.
feel. Yes.
And I'll never forget the first time I went. And again, talking about all the improvements in the area. I mean, what a beautiful venue. The bridge behind the stage and Morris Creek and all that's been done there.
Yes.
And the historic station that's kind of next to the event.
The
I mean,
intermodal.
it really just is an incredible location to do an event. I'm telling you, I started Friday Fest on 2nd Street. I was actually a little jealous when I first saw the Jazz on Morris Creek. I said, man, what a great venue.
It's a great venue, and a lot of people don't know about the beautiful Morris Creek and the improvements and the water quality that it does. So that's a great project by the city of Fort Pierce. We recently put some swings out there, so now you can go and have lunch and have some swings on Morris Creek. Okay. I invite everyone to go. It's beautiful.
All right. So, again, a lot going on up in the Lincoln Park Business District. And, you and I talked one day, there's a lot more going on than meets the eye as you drive down Avenue D. You and I talked about the number of businesses that are really in the area. I mean, there's a lot going on in terms of business.
A lot more than you see. And that's the key, I think. When I was in the clerk's office, and I think this idea started back then a couple years ago, there were so many small businesses, so many entrepreneurs just walking in, a woman wanting to start a cleaning company or a man wanting to get his son and start a lawn service. Right. These are all home-based businesses. These keep our community going. And I think it's really important to support those small businesses because everyone's not going to make it to a brick and mortar. But that's why we're going to have this Lincoln Park Business Expo so we can get you those skills to take you to the next level. Okay. So, we have about, I think I pulled a list, approximately 280 businesses that are just in that northwest corridor that we now like to call Lincoln Park. So, and I say US 1 to Angle Road and Orange Avenue to 30.
I was going to ask you if there is an actual specific designation for the Lincoln Park.
So the Lincoln Park Business District is from Avenue B to E, from 7th Street to 15th. So that's the historic business district. That's where the main businesses were. But
we're Lincoln Park adjacent.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Yes.
You're in this building.
Okay. Yeah, actually.
Yes.
Like you're just in the county. You wouldn't be in the city limits. So.
Greg, I'm thinking maybe radio show on September the 7th maybe. Live.
That sounds live from Lincoln Park. I love it.
Interesting.
Yeah, Greg and I'll go down and set up at Morris Creek. I like that.
That sounds
good
great.
venue.
Can't do it at this time because I'll be doing a football game. But that's
right. That's right. Football season started again.
Thank goodness. Go Gators.
Yeah, go Gators. Listen, Caleta, you have just done incredible things. I really have enjoyed working with you and get to know you. And I appreciate you taking time out tonight. Look forward to the event. Yes. That is September the 7th, the Business Expo.
Yes.
At the Percy Peak Gym.
Yes.
Okay.
All righty.
We will see you there. And I want to thank everyone for joining us for another segment of Startup Talk. And remind you that all the things we've talked about this evening, you can get more information at that www.irscbiz.com. That's irscbiz.com. And with that, we will talk to you next Thursday evening on Startup Talk.
You have been listening to Startup Talk right here on WPSL, Port St. Lucie. WPSL on Alexa, Echo, and Google Home. WSTU Stewart.